Hi, this is André with 42 DirectNET. Thanks for joining us. I'm here with Alex Pope, who is the Director of Converged Infrastructure. Alex, where are we at today?
We are at our Delaware, Ohio facility, and we've got a couple of key functions going on here. One manufacturing, the other really customer focused. So on the manufacturing side, this is where we manufacture our line of large UPSs up into the megawatt range. We also have the ability for customers to come and witness test those systems in action, the actual ones that will be deployed in their key data centers. What we'll be focused on largely today is on the customer and lab portions. We've got showrooms where we have our technologies on showcase, such as power, thermal management, and some out-of-band management. And we'll be looking at those both individually and in the context of solutions packaged and designed to incorporate all of them factory integrated. Next, we have our data center infrastructure management lab that has some of those up and running, and we'll make sure we go into detail around one of our new Smart Row offerings during this visit here.
Great, thanks. We're looking forward. Let's get started. You know, there's so many different types of UPSs out there, and I know you guys have really done a great job on these. Tell me a little bit more about the different offerings and what we're looking at here today.
So in front of me to my left, I have a red device here, which is a Variac. This is designed to simulate our incoming utility power, and it'll vary the voltage as I turn the knob on the top. This light bulb and this power meter are tied directly into the Variac, so we can see voltage change. We can see changes in the light bulb to simulate what happens with utility power. To the left of that, I have the Liebert GXT4 online double conversion UPS, and a power meter tied into that, as well as a light bulb tied into that. And finally, I have the Liebert PSI, which is a line interactive UPS, different technology than the online double conversion. I have a voltage meter and a light bulb tied into that. So what we're going to show today is the differences in the two different UPS technologies and how it affects power going to your server or your other network equipment in the event of utility disturbances. The first thing I'm going to do is turn the voltage down, and you'll notice that the first light bulb tied directly into this utility voltage is getting dimmer and dimmer. You've probably noticed that there's been no change in output voltage or no change to the light bulb with the online double conversion unit. That means your networking equipment, your servers, etc., are being protected at all times. You may have heard some clicking, seen some flickering in the light bulb here. We're now down to 108 volts on the output, so our light bulb here is actually more dim than the bulb plugged in rather to the double conversion UPS. What this means is that your servers, your network equipment are not getting the optimum operating voltage. So if we take our voltage back up to 120 volts, which is normal, you will notice that all three of the light bulbs are now shining at the same relative intensity. But let's simulate what really happens in the real world with things like brownouts and voltage sags and so on. You'll notice that the light bulb here to the left connected to the utility power, the light bulb on the right connected to the line interactive unit. The lights are flickering on and off. You hear switching occurring. But what you'll notice also is that the meter showing the voltage and the light bulb plugged into the online double conversion Liebert GXT4, there's no flickering, there's no change in the voltage whatsoever. So if you're looking for the optimum protection for your IT loads, there's absolutely no question that an online double conversion UPS such as the Liebert GXT4 is the best solution. If you don't have such a critical need for other equipment, certainly a line interactive technology can meet your needs, and it's really about what's best for you. So the point here is that if you have an IT load, if you have a server that has a sensitive power supply, we've now varied the voltage going to that equipment from where it should be at 120 volts nominal down to 115, 107, and as utility power might have other disturbances, you can see on the left meter, I'm going from 100 volts to 120 volts, back and forth. The meter in the center tied into the Liebert GXT4 online double conversion unit is not changing voltage more than 1/10 of a volt. The meter on the right connected to the line interactive Liebert PSI, the voltage is jumping up and down. The light bulb connected to that unit is flickering. Again, this is simulating what would happen if you had what we might call dirty power coming into the loads from the utility.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the features on this new GXT4?
Certainly. The Liebert GXT4 is an online double conversion UPS. The key features are that it has a color programmable LCD screen, enabling complete programming either from the front of the unit or from configuration software. It also has other key features such as programmable, controllable outlet groups, and the functionality there is that if you need to reboot a piece of remote equipment tied into a GXT4, equipment that's hung, for example, you can do that remotely through a web card interface. You can do it locally from the front panel, or you can have non-critical equipment powered down via those programmable outlets if there's only a certain amount of battery time remaining, for example. So it gives the customer the flexibility to have 3 different types of equipment tied into the same UPS with different schemes for the outlets either being powered up or being unpowered. And finally, another key feature is the ability to accept environmental sensors directly into the UPS. We have a series of sensors including temperature, humidity, contact closure, leak detection, and others that can be strung together, as many as 10 sensors in one sensor string, and those can be monitored directly through monitoring software via the communications card in the UPS itself.
Wow, lots of features there. So tell me a little bit more about what kind of kVA ranges does this have, and really what's the best application for the UPS?
Sure. Well, it is a true online double conversion UPS. So the key application is anything where mission critical power is required, edge of network locations for customers that may have voice over IP phone systems or other systems that just can't lose power in order for the customer to conduct their business properly. As far as the available sizes, the Liebert GXT4 ranges from 500 VA all the way up to 10 kVA in various voltages as well.
Great. Brian, thanks so much for taking some time out to talk with us about this.
You're welcome.
I wanted to talk about the Libert ApS UPS system we're looking at here. Could you go over some of the features we're looking at?
Sure, absolutely. The Liebert ApS is designed for single-phase applications, either small data centers or edge of network applications. And the key features of this UPS is that it's modular, scalable, and has internal redundancy built into it. As you can see, there are different modules. These covers come off, and the customer can insert 5 kVA power building blocks. Each of those building blocks has an internal microprocessor, so it's got lots of redundancy as far as processor ability. They can also scale up from where they start. They can add various battery modules. This happens to be a wraparound maintenance bypass, and there are also external battery cabinets available. So this product scales from 5 kVA to 20 kVA in 5 kVA increments, and it's really designed for a customer who has needs today, maybe with their IT, their servers and so on, and they want to be able to accommodate growth and have internal redundancy built into the unit.
Brian, thanks so much for showing us the system. We really appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I have special guest Alex Pope. He's the Director of Converged Infrastructure Systems here at Emerson Network Power. Thanks for joining us today.
Andre, great to see you. Thanks for coming.
So tell me a little bit more about some of the customer challenges you've faced with or you've heard from, and what are some of the things that you have here that solve those problems?
Absolutely. As everyone knows and is talking about, there's an explosion in the need for IT data and portability, access anytime, anywhere. It presents a challenge to a lot of our customers having to manage a change in their IT footprint inside and outside the data center. And they're running into issues, especially outside the data center, where they're having to support IT in locations and facilities that were never meant to support IT and don't have staff to support IT. So we help them plan and support their process for deployment and management of those IT assets.
So you're really kind of bridging both IT and facilities as well.
And that's part of their challenge, both within their organization and having to support either with in-house expertise or external expertise across a wide array of remote locations. So the more we can simplify that challenge across technologies such as power, thermal management, and IT, out-of-band access, remote support, monitoring, the easier it is for our customers to focus on the applications that support their business and not spend time or cycles, resources, trying to fix problems outside their normal scope. The simpler we can make the planning and deployment process, the better they have life.
Tell me a little bit more about what customers are faced with and challenges outside the data center.
Absolutely. And we hear these pretty consistently across different types of customers, whether it be a retail bank with several locations, a retail store, a government network of branches, or a school system, collegiate, local school districts. They manage a consistent issue, which is how to deploy and manage IT assets across a distributed set of locations that don't have local expertise on site. So we'll go hit a couple of items specifically. First, if you want to support an application or service level, you're going to rely on some IT infrastructure to do that. A lot of these places lack consistency. So they're coming into a challenge where they may not know exactly what's in all of these places. So they look to standardize on it. Right? First thing I typically do is standardize. Standardize on the IT, and then standardize on the assets supporting that IT. And we help them do that. Right? So if you have a high number of locations, the first thing you do, minimize variability. So we will work with them with a solution architecture process to determine a single integrated package or levels of integrated packages that serve their different segmented needs. Next, got to deploy them. So one way to do it that presents a lot of challenges is trying to coordinate piecemeal different pieces of infrastructure showing up and having to coordinate different levels of expertise to integrate everything in a consistent fashion such that it can be consistently managed thereafter. What we do is factory integrate the assets so we can ship out a single plug-and-play SKU across technologies, power, thermal, and IT management. That helps solve the management issue down the line. If you do have a problem in one of these sites, it can be costly to send a third party or a home managed, an in-house resource out and literally drive to the site to do the troubleshooting and potentially repair. So we provide the tools and consistency to be able to minimize the number of issues that come up because we had a consistent set of factory integrated assets going in. And then if there is an issue, simplify that resolution process through streamlined, concise set of tools and full service from a single provider.
Great, thanks Alex. We really appreciate your time. This is André with 42. If you want to discuss these converged infrastructure solutions, contact us at 42.com. So a lot of our customers come to us and they're looking for a rack with integrated cooling inside of the rack, and it looks like you guys have a solution here, the Liebert MCR. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. This is targeted for customers who have distributed applications or need to support IT assets across numerous facilities outside their core data center. And what they run into the challenge of is coordinating integrated technologies, power, racks, rack distribution, cooling, and then out-of-band management, and having all of that come together on time with the right expertise to assemble, to plan for it, and then bring it up and running, and then manage it in a consistent way across a wide number of locations. So what we have with the MCR is an integrated unit with single rack, active cooling inside the unit, not just ventilation, and on all of the other power distribution and out-of-band management factory integrated, such that it shows up as a true plug-and-play solution. This has integrated cooling package going up to the area of about 3 kW of cooling, depending on the configuration, and we've got matching UPS to support it.
What kind of room requirements do I need to install something like this?
Well, that's the beauty of the product, because we see it in places that were never designed to have IT. So we see them anywhere from a doctor's office through a network of retail branches. We see them in stadiums, and we see them in industrial settings. So they really are designed to be a mini computer room that you can deploy without having to actually design an actual computer room.
So the air itself is ducted through the ceiling, or how's the return and supply air happen there?
That's exactly right. The loads typically associated with this type of deployments, where they fit in a single cabinet, can be sent back through the return air plenum in the building air conditioning.
So do you have any kind of backup cooling or air system in there in case there is a power outage?
We do have redundant configurations.
We have a lot of customers that typically will ask us, hey, we're looking for a rack in a smaller network closet. We need something that has integrated cooling. And it looks like you guys have a solution here. Could you tell me what we're looking at?
Sure. This is the Liebert MCR from Emerson Network Power. And what is unique about it is its ability to integrate active cooling into the rack. So if you think of where our customers are deploying this, they're in buildings and locations that weren't designed to house and support IT and typically don't have IT staff to manage deployment, installation, and ongoing management across a wide array of locations. So what we've done with the Liebert MCR is integrate the technologies, cooling, power, out-of-band management, services and installation into a single package that can be skewed up, repeated, and managed for the customer, so they don't have to spend their time doing it in these places.
So it looks like this system's pretty easy to install. It rolls into just about any doorway and you can set it up pretty quickly?
Sure, it is pretty slim, and we service loads up to in the 3 to 4 kilowatt range with matching UPS online support, factory integrated.
Perfect all-in-one solution, love it.
So we've been focused on how to manage IT assets inside and outside the data center, especially in those places that are distributed and remote, present challenges to our customers. So we're going to look at our smart solutions lineup, really focused around single cabinet and rows of cabinet offerings, our smart cabinet and smart row. And they are based on individual cabinet, row, or rows of cabinets, and then mods, so external buildings, right? Those are the way we structure the size ranges to help customers solve those problems. In every case, we'll take the facilities technologies, typically referred to as power, thermal management, IT technologies such as remote management, out-of-band management for IT assets and networking, and we'll package them together with the deployment services, the management services, all in a single SKU, such that they can be deployed simply and repeatably by a customer.
This is great. This is exciting. So let's go this way. Let's come on. Let's talk and show you a little bit more about some of these different solutions that Alex has been talking about. We're here looking at the Smart Row AIM. It's the newest product line out for Liebert Emerson. Dave, tell me a little bit more about what led to the design and construction of this type of product.
The Smart Row AIM was designed really to address the needs of SMB and enterprise edge applications where they have high criticality needs, higher density requirements, but it's a smaller build out than an enterprise space with all the same requirements. That's what led us to develop this system based off of all of our proven technologies.
So I noticed you have another type of Smart Row system, the DCR, and this is the newest version. Tell me a little bit more about the features that this is giving you over the older model.
Well, the nice part about this system is it's extremely flexible. Whether you want it with or without redundancy, low or high density, integrated UPS or no UPS systems, integrated power distribution, the number of options and ways you can configure the system are nearly endless. So it lends itself to fit in virtually any space.
Right. So could we go kind of get a quick breakdown on each one of the components of this Smart Row system and what's all involved here?
Absolutely. So what we're looking at is the front of the Smart Row AIM, and we're looking at the expansion channels that channel the cold air from the row-based air conditioners, our Liebert CRVs, to all the IT racks. The nice part about these expansion channels is it ensures the air that enters the servers has left our air conditioner, so it's conditioned at the temperature that we want it.
So the expansion channel, in a sense, is a plenum system inside this area, then, is that correct?
Absolutely. It controls the air as well as helps to reduce the noise emitted from the system, so it can be deployed in spaces where you typically would have people in the vicinity and it doesn't become a nuisance to them.
Can we take a quick look inside and see what this looks like inside?
Absolutely. So the system itself has a variety of security options to keep all the IT equipment inside secure. And within the system, we have a variety of cable management accessories to ensure we can keep the cold air separated from the rear of the Smart Row AIM without hindering how all the cable management is ran within this system.
So, and tell me, is this the cooling system portion right here, this part?
Correct. This is our smaller CRV-19. We can also fit any of our row-based CRV cooling units that provide up to 40 kilowatts of cooling capacity in the system. And then based on the redundancy requirements, we can add additional CRVs as needed. This is our row-based air conditioner, the Liebert CRV, that blows air horizontally into the cold aisle. Air discharges out of this unit through our front supply air baffle. It's adjustable and helps ensure cold air gets to where it needs to be. This, along with all the variable speed components in the system, make it extremely energy efficient, and it's all managed by our class-leading ICOM control system.
Great. So what's the capacities that this system comes in?
It ranges from 20 to 40 kilowatts in capacity and is compatible with all the major configurations: air-cooled, water glycol, and chill water.
And it's variable frequency fans built into this as well, or?
Absolutely. Variable capacity compressor, variable speed fans. Really, every component in this is variable to match the requirements of the IT equipment.
Excellent. So how would you service something like this? It looks, how do I access things?
Again, class-leading serviceability, where it's all the services through the front and rear of the unit. You never have to go through the side panels. They're actually solid to increase the rigidity of the unit. And is a testament to how strongly we feel that the serviceability never has to go through the sides.
Great. And another thing is that it looks like it's pretty easy to roll into any doorway just about and install pretty quickly.
That's it exactly. It's designed to fit through standard doorways. It's mounted on wheels, so once you get it off the pallet, you can wheel it down hallways into the space you need to, lower the leveling feet, and you're done.
I like that. So the cooling unit systems themselves, is it start at 20 kW, or what's the different loads for each one of the cooling systems?
So our smaller CRV is rated at 19 kilowatts, but that can unload down to 20% of its rated capacity. So the nice part is, if your day one requirements are a fraction of what your future needs will be, the CRV will scale itself to today's needs, saving you both energy as well as reducing the overall sound emitted from the system.
You can make it redundant quite easily then. If you just add another system and those fans ramp up higher, is that how that works, or how's that going?
Absolutely. So our Liebert CRV uses our global ICOM control system. And this system modulates itself based off of the needs of the IT equipment itself. We attach temperature probes to the front of every rack to measure what the real-time requirements of the servers are and have the CRV cooling unit modulate to those needs.
And through the ICOM system, if you're starting to run into some temperature or heat variances, you can be set alarms and those kinds of things.
Absolutely. The control system is designed to respond immediately to any needs and address any concerns that may arise, whether it's a high or low temperature condition, and at the same time it's going to report remotely what's taking place.
So tell me what happens if there's a power outage in the data center. How does the system rescue itself, or what do you do from there?
So whether there's a cooling system failure or a complete power failure to the facility and the IT equipment stays online from a UPS, to ensure that the equipment inside the smart array doesn't begin to cook itself, we have an automatic backup ventilation system that'll kick in. We draw in air from the room to ventilate the IT equipment and exhaust the heat out the rear, out of the space.
And do the doors on the back or the front auto open, or is it just stays sealed pretty much?
The system's sealed under normal operation, and it only opens itself when the backup ventilation system activates.
So let's talk about the deployment of a system like this compared to like a conventional move or some sort of a redo, or even moving to a COLA or something like that. Tell me about that, how all it works.
The nice part about Smart Row AIM is that it can be deployed in a matter of weeks, not months. The entire system is modular, and it allows it to be expanded quite easily. It can be deployed virtually in any condition space. It ships all pre-assembled, so assembly on site happens very quickly.
So if I'm an IT manager, tell me how this system would help me manage the deployment of a system like this.
The nice part about this system is that it's all inclusive. So when you need to deploy more IT equipment in any type of space, the Smart Row AIM already has everything pre-selected, guaranteed to work, and play well with one another. So it saves time, and time is obviously money savings.
So once I put the system in, tell me, how is it that I manage growth?
Growth is managed very simply. The SmartRow AIM has both predefined rack packs and power packs. And what these packs allow you to do is simply come in with your IT requirements, and we wrap around those requirements all the infrastructure components that you need. So as you need to add so many racks, we will help you pre-select a rack pack and a power pack that'll meet those new needs.
Right, so we can start from today's needs and scale, be able to scale in the future. How large could you scale a system like this?
The nice part about this system is it can be expanded virtually to any size. So whether you install your day one requirements or your future build out initially, you can always come back and either change the configuration by adding more cooling units if needed, or additional racks or UPS systems as the needs of the space evolve over time.
Can you tell me a little bit more how power distribution is handled within a system like this?
The SmartRow AIM utilizes either whips to the rack PDUs or our modular busway system, our Liebert MB. The MB system runs overhead and it can be configured either with or without redundancy. So over time, if you find you need to add additional racks and add another rack pack to the SmartRow AIM, the Liebert MB modular busway system allows us to add those racks without de-energizing the existing racks. So you can expand your SmartRow hot, essentially, without shutting down your existing IT operations. We can expand as needed over time, either with N distribution or 2N. We can expand it in N+1 increments at a rack level. So whether you want 1 or 2 power drops per rack, we have that flexibility. We can support it from the rack or from the ceiling. It's really a flexible platform to provide growth over time.
So this is just another piece of the puzzle that helps fit the entire solution all together then?
That's it exactly. It takes us from the row-based UPS system to getting powered into each individual rack.
So tell me a little bit more about the DCR. I know we were looking at the AIM system. What's the difference between the DCR and where does this fit?
The difference really is the overall footprint and the number of racks and density of those racks that this system can support. The SmartRow DCR can support anywhere between 3 to 10 racks, about 6 kW per cabinet each, and it comes with a variety of redundancy options and emergency backup ventilation as well.
Great. So tell me a little bit more about how the cooling system works in this, and where is it located and where is that all driven from?
Sure. So the cooling system in the SmartRow DCR is really a bottom to top airflow path. The entire DCR is essentially built on a false raised floor. It's built on a plenum that we fill with cold air. And just like a raised floor, it lets the cold air into each rack as needed, goes through the IT equipment, is captured in a top plenum overhead, and is pulled through a air conditioning system to remove the heat.
So everything's completely encapsulated. You have the plenum already built in. It's no need for containment or anything like that.
Correct. The containment is part of the system. So it provides not only isolation for the airflow path, but it also provides security advantages. This really allows us to install this system in spaces that were never originally intended to support IT equipment.
Great. So I noticed a host of different buttons here. You got an EPO button over here. Tell me a little bit more about what we're looking at on this side of the rack system here.
So the whole end of this lineup is our houses all of the infrastructure for the SmartRow. Inside we have power distribution, we have a dry agent fire suppression, we have the air conditioning system as well, and all the controls that run the emergency backup ventilation.
Great. So that's a great all-in-one solution. So really, what are customers really kind of looking for something like this? What's really the main driver? What are they looking for when they're considering a SmartRow system?
It's really two things. One is simplicity. It's all here, it's pre-integrated, it's pre-tested at the factory, and it helps to minimize the time it takes to deploy a system. The second is that the system can be deployed virtually anywhere. Because it is self-contained, because it is all here, because we can integrate a UPS system, it's very easy to select it and go.
So compared to like a normal, a conventional type of build or something like that, how quickly were you thinking that you could put something like this up and running?
From the time you decide you want one of these, you can be up and running in 6 to 8 weeks as compared to several months with a traditional build where you may have to renovate a space.
Wow, that's impressive. Can you tell me a little bit more about this fire suppression system? This is quite unique to this system, isn't it?
It absolutely is. This SmartRow DCR has integrated fire suppression in it. It's a dry agent, which means if it deploys, no water is ever going to touch the IT gear. It's a FIKE system. It is factory integrated. It arrives on site as you see it, and then a technician from FIKE will come out to actually commission it. This simplifies deployment complexity because local jurisdictions will not have any issues worrying about how fire suppression from the building is going to get into this system because it's a part of this system from the beginning.
Really neat features. So, and also I noticed that you have some power distribution panel in here. Tell me a little bit more about that.
What we're looking at is a power distribution panel, and it can feed all of the rack PDUs that are in this lineup. We can also replicate this entire infrastructure on the other end of the smart row, so that if someone needs two-end distribution, we can provide that as well. Additionally, we have all of the controls that are required to run the emergency backup ventilation system integrated and factory tested before it ships.
Fantastic. And there's also integrated environmental monitoring to tie into all this as well.
Absolutely. Okay. The system comes with temperature sensors that go into every rack as standard.
Dave, tell me a little bit more about what kind of customer this would benefit from.
Customers that would benefit from this system are ones that need to deploy IT very quickly and may not have a traditional environment to install the IT system. So for example, it could be an office environment where there will be cubicles sitting right next to this system. This lends itself to that space because it's relatively quiet. It's fully self-contained, so it's not going to be influenced by what's happening around the space. Applications where it may be an edge of network type of deployment where up until this point there was no defined IT space in that environment. This will create that environment for the equipment that's going to be added.
Great. So what's the minimum rack that you'd start off with, and what's the maximum that you can configure in a system like this?
So the minimum you would start at is 3 racks and just end redundancy on everything, power and cooling. And then as we build out the system, it'll top out at 10 racks, and we can do M+1 or 2N on the cooling system, and as well as the UPS and power distribution.
Great. And the cooling system that you have here, what's the basic level that you have, and what's maximum again you can?
So it'll start at 20 kW,
okay,
and it can go up to 36 kW. The beauty of the system is it's variable. So if you only have a fraction of that load day one, the system will unload to your current needs, run very efficiently, and then as you add more equipment and load, it automatically adjusts.
Perfect. So tell me about how this system ships.
The beauty of this system is that it ships in very few pieces that are already pre-assembled at the factory. Everything is here, so you don't have to spend any time up front selecting individual components, making sure each of those components are compatible with one another. Don't have to worry about coordinating delivery dates to ensure it all arrives at site at the same time. We've taken care of that all at the factory. It's guaranteed to work, guaranteed to be compatible. It arrives on site in large pre-assembled pieces, so it assembles very quickly. It's a matter of essentially putting together Legos to build up the system in a matter of hours. And you're up and running in days, not weeks.
Yeah, and that's just a huge advantage, especially when you're building and you have so many different components coming from all over the place. It's hard to match all those types of things, and sometimes you may not even know that they even work together sometimes.
That's it exactly.
So I have a quick question. Compared to this system to a conventional build or a brownfield or greenfield type build, is this a better way to go, or tell me about some of the advantages by doing this?
Well, for starters, it's everything in one box. So it's simplifying the process of having to select all the individual components, ensuring each of those components are going to play well with one another, making sure it's going to physically fit on site, not having to worry about, did I forget one small piece? Because if you forget one piece, the whole system doesn't work. That's off the table. It's already coming with that rubber stamp guaranteed to work from the factory, with the benefit of it being pre-tested at the factory.
Huge benefit, because there's so many different moving parts. Everything could come from different directions and different time zones and who knows what. So this is a really great type of all-encompassed type of solution.
That's it exactly, and it all arrives on site at the same time from one vendor. It's easy to track. It's easy to get support when necessary. It really just simplifies the entire process and eliminates headaches.
Great. I'm sold. Thanks again for visiting with us today.
Thank you.
Alex Pope here at the Converged Infrastructure Director. Alex, thanks again for your time today. We really appreciate this tour and this visit. Very fascinating.
Andre, we're thrilled to have you, thrilled about our partnership with 42U.
Great, thanks so much. So in the end, we really want to make sure that everybody knows that with this partnership, we are able to provide a complete solution for our customers, from power, cooling infrastructure, everything in between.
And I think that's one of the keys, is how customers are forced to solve the problems of maintaining, supporting, planning around IT assets, especially as you get more distributed outside the data center. So what we provide jointly is a process to solution architect with an understanding of the application, to the IT hardware, to the power, thermal, and management technology surrounding that, and the service coverage when there is an issue.
Great. Well, we really appreciate your time today. If you have any questions, don't forget to contact us. Thanks again, Alex. We appreciate your time.
Great to see you.
Thanks again. This is André with 42U.